Hello everyone, I'm Anna Roja and today we're going to explore one of the most elegant and timeless interior styles, Neoclassicism. Here's what we will cover. First we will talk about where this style came from. Then we'll explore the key features that make Neoclassicism so unique. Next, I will show you how to bring this style into your own projects. And finally, I will share some movie recommendations where you can see beautiful neoclassical interiors in action. Neoclassicism is perfect for people who want their home to feel solid, elegant, and feel balanced, but without going too deep into the heavy and ornate details of classical interiors. It's a great mix of tradition and modern comfort. Neoclassical interiors are elegant, refined, and timeless. They feature symmetry, light, or muted colors, and natural materials like marble and wood. This style actually started as a modern interpretation of classical design from 19th century Europe. Designers took the best parts of classicism, like balance and nobility, and gave it a fresh, modern look. So, what's the difference between neoclassicism and classicism? Neoclassicism keeps the elegant shapes, natural materials, and calm color palette of classical style. But it also focuses on simplicity and functionality, which makes it perfect for today's homes. It feels both timeless and practical. Neoclassical interiors can look very calm or, on the contrary, very festive, with references to palace motifs, as in this example. Over time, the classical style has evolved. It has adapted to meet the needs of modern life. And that's how Neoclassicism was born, as a refined but updated version of the original. It looks great even in standard apartments, unlike traditional classical interiors which can feel too heavy. The furniture is graceful with classic shapes but modern comfort. Decor is minimal with attention to detail. Moldings, high ceilings, and soft lighting create a calm, balanced atmosphere. Today, when people say modern classic, they often mean neoclassicism. So, sometimes people confuse it with French style, but they're not the same. Both use elegant details, soft colors, and classic elements. However, neoclassicism is more structured and symmetrical, where the French style feels lighter and more decorative. Neoclassicism uses classical elements like columns, moldings, and symmetry, but in different proportions depending on the space. This is how cleverly modern furniture can blend with neoclassical elements like ceiling and wall moldings, cornices, and door frames that hint at classical style. Soft shapes can also be part of the style. As you can see, arches are back in fashion, and rounded forms can appear in furniture too, like coffee table shown here. When we talk about moldings, cornices, and baseboards, which are often used in neoclassicism, it doesn't mean that neoclassicism is only about straight angles. So, in simple words, neoclassicism is a new vision of classic design. It respects tradition but adds a modern twist. Let's look at what defines this style. The foundation of neoclassicism is symmetry, soft beige tones, and refined elegant decor. And the color palette is calm and balanced, neutral shades like beige and white, and deep tones like burgundy and dark gray or dark brown, pastels like apricot and dusty pink, soft lilac, and even complex colors like mint, mustard, violet, and terracotta. So we often see granite and marble in neoclassical interiors. They bring a natural solid feel. Marble is often used in bathrooms with a different combination of patterns. It also used to make the moldings and consoles mentioned earlier. Marble can create a soft transition into wet areas at the kitchen, for example, or even the entryway. Details are very important here, but not too much. Everything is about balance here. Neoclassical interiors are never visually overwhelming. So, there are many kinds of lightings too. Pendant lights, sconces, floor lamps. Sometimes you can even meet technical lighting, but always neatly integrated. So, what else I can tell you about this interesting style? Furniture. Furniture is graceful and elegant, but not bulky. As a rule, comfortable, but without losing aesthetics. For example, about choosing a sofa. It would definitely be a comfortable sofa, not overloaded with ornaments on the upholstery, and at the same time on neat legs, which will count both modern motifs and reference to the classics. And yes, don't forget about beautiful curtains and stylish rods. They add a sense of elegance and completeness to the space. Well-chosen textiles can soften the overall look and highlight the vertical lines in the room, enhancing the feeling of height and harmony. So decoration is used in the duration, just enough to add character without making the space feel too heavy. Now let's talk about how to design a space in this style. First, layout is key. In neoclassical interiors, everything starts with a thoughtful plan. Furniture should be arranged symmetrically and pathways should be clear and practical. This creates a sense of order and elegance that defines the style. The ideal room is bright, spacious, with high ceilings and large windows. The living room is usually the center of home in Neoclassicism. It's where symmetry, refined furniture, and decorative elements come together to create a welcoming yet sophisticated atmosphere. This space often sets the tone for entire interior, reflecting both elegance and comfort. So, to design neoclassical space, use the principles of symmetry and proportions when planning your space in this style. These principles come from classical architecture and are key for creating balance and harmony in a space. Symmetry means mirroring elements on both sides of a center axis. For example, placing identical chairs or lamps on either side of a sofa or fireplace. Proportions refers to the relationship between the sizes of different elements in the room, like the scale of furniture in relation of the ceiling height, or the size of moldings compared to the wall. Everything should feel well balanced and neither not too big nor too small for the space. Also, choose traditional materials like wood, natural stone, metal, and ceramics. Walls should be painted in pastel colors to keep that soft, calm feeling. You don't need to use columns because they're optional. Instead, try adding moldings, door frames, high cornices, and covered ceilings. By the way, here is a trick you can use in neoclassical interiors. If you have a beam in the middle of ceiling, you can visually fill that height with cornices. The cornice can be made of plaster or polyurethane. If you have second option, here is great technique. You can use a smaller cornice and add a molding underneath it to reach the full height of the beam. This creates ceiling and makes the beam look elegant rather than overly modern. So, even a high baseboard can add elegance. And here is a trick. If you paint the cornice and baseboard in the same color as wall, it makes the ceiling look taller. Here is a beautiful example of soft transition between the wall color and the ceiling cornice. That the same color with baseboard, by the way. You see, it works beautifully. This technique visually stretches the walls and makes the ceiling appear higher. If you want to see neoclassical interiors in action, I recommend you to watch this movie, The Devil Wears Prada. It's a beautiful example where you can see neoclassical interiors. Miranda's office and home are a great example. And another great one is Something's Gotta Give. The Hamptons house has classic white walls, columns, and a perfectly balanced layout. And now let's sum up. Neoclassicism is a great choice of like all this combination if you want to have a solid, elegant home without going like too much to classical interiors. The key elements are symmetry, soft tones, and nature materials, and refined decor. When designing, focus on layout and comfort, and use just the right amount of detail. This style gives you space and timeless look and feels both beautiful and livable. Thank you for your attention. See you next class.